It's official. CJ Mosley is heading to Dallas, and this move could prove to be one of the most defining signings of the Cowboys' 2025 offseason. For fans who've been following the team closely, this shouldn't come as a complete shock. The Cowboys have faced significant issues in the linebacker department ever since DeMarvion Overshown suffered that devastating multi-ligament knee injury early in training camp, sending ripples through the organization and raising real concerns about depth and reliability at one of the most critical positions on the defense. While the front office had initially expressed confidence in younger options like Kenneth Murray Jr. and Jack Sanborn, it became increasingly clear during the preseason that neither was ready to serve as the cornerstone of a playoff caliber defense, especially one with Super Bowl aspirations. So Jerry Jones and the Cowboys brass did what contenders do. They found a veteran leader with elite pedigree and a high football IQ to step in and steady the ship. CJ Mosley, the 5-time Pro Bowl linebacker and former leader of both the Baltimore Ravens and New York Jets, brings instant credibility, leadership, and on-field production to a team that's been searching for consistency at the second level. Now, in his early 30s, Mosley may not be the sideline-to-sideline speedster he was during his prime years, but what he brings in terms of football intelligence, communication, and run-stopping ability cannot be overstated. And make no mistake, Dallas isn't bringing him in to be a long-term developmental piece. This is about right now. This is about giving Dan Quinn, or in this case, Matt Eberfluss, the new defensive coordinator, the ability to dial up exotic fronts and aggressive blitz packages, knowing he has a cerebral veteran middle linebacker who understands the game as well as anyone in the league, anchoring the center of the defense. When you look at what the Cowboys lacked last year, particularly during key games against physical teams like the 49ers and Eagles, it was toughness and discipline in the front seven. Time and time again, opposing offenses found ways to exploit gaps in Dallas's run fits. And while Micah Parsons has continued to be a generational talent off the edge, he can't do it all by himself. That's where Mosley's presence becomes so important. He fills a role that hasn't truly been occupied since the days of Sean Lee, someone who can diagnose plays before the snap, communicate pre-snap adjustments, and direct traffic when chaos breaks out on the field. Mosley's ability to process and react has always been one of his strongest traits, and now paired with an athletic front that includes the likes of Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Maisie Smith, and Osa Odigizua, he can thrive as the glue guy who keeps everything running smoothly. Another major impact of this signing is how it frees up Parsons and the rest of the pass rushers to focus solely on getting after the quarterback. With a more dependable middle linebacker behind them, Dallas can afford to get more creative in their fronts, even potentially bringing more simulated pressures and zone blitzes without worrying about giving up chunk plays in the middle of the field. Mosley has shown throughout his career that he can hold up in coverage, particularly in zone concepts, where his anticipation and awareness allow him to bait quarterbacks into mistakes. While he may not match up man-to-man with speedy slot receivers, he doesn't need to. His job is to be in the right place at the right time, and that's a skill he's mastered over a decade of elite-level football. But beyond the X's and O's, CJ Mosley brings something more intangible, yet equally important. Leadership. This is a guy who served as the unquestioned defensive captain for two separate franchises. In Baltimore, he was handed the reins from the likes of Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and never flinched under the weight of expectation. In New York, despite playing for a team in perpetual rebuild mode, he remained a steady, professional presence in a locker room that needed direction. That kind of experience is invaluable to a Dallas team that's talented, but still searching for that mental edge that championship teams possess. The Cowboys, for all their regular season success in recent years, have fallen short when it matters most. Postseason flameouts and mental mistakes have plagued them, and adding someone like Mosley, who has been through playoff wars and understands what it takes to win in January, could make the difference. Younger players like Damone Clark, Marquise Bell, who's transitioned from safety to a hybrid linebacker role, and even Overshown once he returns from injury, will benefit immensely from being around someone with Mosley's professionalism and preparation habits. He becomes a coach on the field, a walking, talking playbook, and that's the kind of influence that creates cultural change in a locker room. Another interesting angle here is how his presence impacts the rest of the defense in terms of accountability. One of the subtle yet critical parts of having a veteran like Mosley is that other players are more likely to stay in position, follow assignments, and play sound football simply because the standard is raised. It's hard to slack off or freelance when the guy next to you is a 10-year vet who eats tape for breakfast and is calling out formations before the offense even breaks the huddle. The signing also makes a clear statement from the Cowboys front office they're all in, with Mike McCarthy potentially coaching for his job and the pressure of another postseason run mounting. Bringing in Mosley shows they're not content with waiting for younger guys to develop. They want results now. And it's a smart move, not just because of Mosley's pedigree, but because of the cost benefit. He's not going to command a massive multi-year deal. This is likely a short-term, cap-friendly signing that gives them flexibility while still addressing a massive need. And in terms of locker room dynamics, Mosley is a low-maintenance professional. No ego, no drama, just a guy who shows up, leads by example, and performs. He fits perfectly into a defense that already has star personalities but could benefit from a quieter, steadier veteran voice. His ability to mentor while still contributing on the field checks every box for what the Cowboys need right now. And fans are already responding. Social media lit up when the signing was announced, with reactions ranging from cautious optimism to full-blown excitement. Some fans view this as the missing piece to a championship-level defense, and while that might be a bit premature, it's not entirely unrealistic. If Mosley stays healthy and returns even 85 to 90% of his previous form, he can drastically elevate this unit. He doesn't need to be a 140 tackle machine. He just needs to be consistent, smart, and available. And if he does that, Dallas could finally have the kind of linebacker presence they've been lacking for years. Think about it. Parsons off the edge, Mosley in the middle, Lawrence wreaking havoc on the other side, and a secondary led by Trevon Diggs and Darren Bland. That's a defense with teeth, speed, and now brain power. Y'all, this isn't just about plugging a hole. It's about building a cohesive, mentally tough unit that can adjust, adapt, and dominate. CJ Mosley signing with the Cowboys may not make the loudest headlines nationally, but within football circles, it's a deeply respected move. One that signals Dallas is done hoping for young players to step up and instead is ready to surround their stars with the kind of veteran presence championship teams are built on. And when you factor in the way the NFC is shaping up, right, with the 49ers still being a force, the Eagles retooling, and rising threats from teams like Detroit, you realize just how important it is to be complete on both sides of the ball. The Cowboys already had a top-tier offense with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Tony Pollard leading the charge. Now, with Mosley shoring up the defense, this team might finally be balanced enough to make a deep postseason run. So if you're a fan wondering whether this signing moves the needle, yes, it absolutely does. It gives Dallas a leader on defense, a mentor for young talent, and an enforcer in the run game. It gives them an identity, a presence, and a tone setter, and maybe, just maybe, it gives them that final missing piece to finally push through the playoff wall that's held them back for far too long. CJ Mosley in a Cowboys uniform might not have been on everyone's offseason bingo card, but now that it's happened, it makes all the sense in the world. Get ready, Cowboys Nation. This defense just got a lot more dangerous.